If you are learning English, well, you probably know the feeling. You're consuming tons of content, maybe watching videos, listening to things, but that jump to actually speaking fluently still feels kind of far off.
Hmm.
You want a smarter way, right? A faster route to understanding and using the language without just feeling totally overwhelmed all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this. We've gone through a lot of material and pulled together 9 really essential strategies. These are backed by research, and they're designed to speed up your English learning by focusing on, well, efficiency, consistency, and actually doing things. This isn't just another list. Think of it more like a guide to making your effort really count.
That's exactly it. Learning any language takes effort, obviously, but what the sources consistently show is that the quality of your practice,
Yeah.
that matters way more than just the sheer quantity. So we're synthesizing techniques that really help shift your brain, get it retaining vocabulary, understanding structure for the long haul, and moving you past that stage where you feel like you're always just beginning.
Right. And we've structured these 9 strategies into 3 main parts. We'll start with the absolute foundation, how you should actually be taking in the language in the first place. Let's dive into section 1, foundational mechanics,
Yeah.
how you consume and interact with English. And the first tip tackles a really common mistake, something we saw mentioned quite a bit. Learn in chunks, not isolated words. So many of us, myself included sometimes, spend ages memorizing lists of single words. Then, when you need them in a conversation, poof, they're gone.
Uh-huh. And there's a reason for that. Your brain is just much, much better at remembering context than isolated bits of data. Think about it. You learn a single word, like break. Then in a conversation, you have to instantly figure out the grammar, how it's normally used. Take a break, need a break. That's a huge mental load right when you're trying to speak.
Ah, okay. So instead of trying to piece together take and a and break on the spot, you learn the whole phrase take a break as one unit.
Exactly. It's like a prepackaged item, ready to use. You bypass all that grammar processing on the fly. These are often called lexical chunks. You should be actively noticing and learning common phrases like, I'm not sure, or that makes sense, or even, you know what I mean?
Like little building blocks for conversation.
Precisely. They function almost like muscle memory for speaking.
I like the musical analogy some sources use. It's like learning whole melodies, not just single separate notes. The chunk is the melody.
That's a great way to think about it. And it flows naturally into the next point, really. Once you're consuming these chunks, you've got to use them actively. This brings us to tip 5. Active, not passive learning. A lot of people think, just having English TV on the background or listening to podcasts while doing chores is enough. But that's mostly passive exposure.
Right, this is where it gets really interesting. Because passive input is fine for getting familiar with the sounds, maybe picking up a word here or there. But it doesn't actually build your ability to produce the language, to speak confidently. You have to engage more directly, don't you?
Absolutely. Fluency requires interaction. The sources highlight several active techniques. It goes beyond just, say, pausing a video and repeating a sentence out loud, although that's a start. A really powerful one is shadowing. Have you come across that?
Shadowing, like repeating almost instantly.
Yeah, exactly. You try to speak the lines simultaneously with the original speaker, almost like you're their shadow, verbally.
Okay, why is that so much better than just repeating after a pause?
Because it forces you to match everything, the rhythm, the intonation, the little pauses, the speed all at once. It's very physical. You're literally training the muscles in your mouth while your brain absorbs the sentence structure almost subconsciously because you're focused on the sound, not on analyzing grammar rules.
I see, so it bypasses the overthinking.
Kind of, yeah. Another active technique. If you read an article or even watch a video, try immediately summarizing the main points in your own words. Out loud, preferably, or even just writing it down. That forces recall and really helps lock it in.
Okay, so we need to consume in chunks and then actively engage with that material. Makes sense. Now let's shift to section 2, which is more about the underlying habits and mindset, the consistency part. This is tip 3. Practice every day, even for just 10 minutes. This feels counterintuitive sometimes, doesn't it? We think we need these long, intense study sessions. But the sources really emphasize consistency over intensity.
No, absolutely. The message is crystal clear. 10 minutes of focused practice every single day will get you much further than, say, a massive 3-hour cram session once a week. Your brain thrives on that regular reinforcement.
The gym analogy kept coming up. You don't build muscle with one huge workout a month. You need regular, consistent effort. building your English muscle.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be overwhelming. We're talking small, manageable things. Listen to a short podcast clip, like 2 or 3 minutes, and maybe shadow a few sentences. Write a few sentences about your day in English. Or even use an AI tool like ChatGPT for a quick 10-minute chat.
I liked the specific trick mentioned, talking to yourself in English while doing chores.
Yes, like narrating your actions. Okay, now I'm chopping the onions, or I need to put the kettle on. It sounds a bit strange, maybe, but it keeps the language active in your mind with very little extra time commitment.
Okay, daily practice. Got it. Now, what about the fear factor? This is huge for so many learners. Tip 2, don't be afraid to make mistakes. That fear of saying something wrong, of sounding silly, it can just paralyze you right when you need to actually try speaking.
It really can. And the key insight here is to completely reframe how you think about mistakes. They're not failures. The sources often describe them as free mini lessons. Each mistake highlights something specific you need to learn or practice, and honestly, the correction sticks so much better when it comes from a real-life error.
Yeah, that anecdote about the person learning French was memorable. They meant to say, I'm full after dinner, but accidentally said the French equivalent of, I'm pregnant.
Right. Hugely embarrassing in the moment, no doubt. But they said they never forgot the correct phrase after that.
It seals it in your memory, doesn't it?
It does. And you have to remember, most native speakers are actually really happy you're making the effort. They're usually quite forgiving and often willing to help. Aiming for perfect communication from day one is impossible. Just aim for connection.
That's a great mindset shift, and it connects directly to the next related points, which are about managing expectations for the long haul. That's tip 6, setting realistic goals, and tip 9, being patient. So many learners get discouraged because they set these huge, vague goals like, I'm going to be fluent in 3 months.
Exactly. That's setting yourself up for disappointment. Instead, you need specific, measurable goals you can actually track. Like, this week, I'll learn 5 new phrases or chunks and try to use them in conversation. Or I'll watch one 20-minute YouTube video without subtitles and try to understand the main idea. Small, achievable steps.
And the patience part, tip 9. It really is a journey, isn't it? Not a race.
Absolutely. Learning a language is a marathon. You'll have good days and bad days. You might miss a day of practice. That doesn't mean you failed. The key is persistence, not perfection. Just keep going.
Tracking progress seems important here, too.
Yes. Keep a simple journal or use an app. Note down those small victories. Maybe you understood a movie scene you wouldn't have before, or you managed to order coffee without stumbling. Celebrating those little wins really helps keep motivation high for the long journey ahead.
Okay, so we've covered the mechanics of learning and the mindset needed. Now let's move into section 3. Optimizing your environment, using technology, and, crucially, connecting with others.
Right. These are about integrating English into your life more broadly.
First up, tip 4. Surround yourself with English. Create that immersion bubble, even if you don't live in an English-speaking country.
This is huge for accelerating progress. It means weaving English into your daily routine outside of dedicated study time. Simple things first. Change your phone language to English. Change your web browser, your social media settings. It seems small, but it adds up to constant, low-level exposure.
And then there's media consumption. The key here seemed to be choosing stuff you actually like.
Yes, definitely. Don't force yourself to read dense articles if that's not your thing. If you love cooking, watch English language cooking shows on YouTube. If you're into gaming, follow streamers who speak English. True crime podcasts, go for it. When you're genuinely interested in the content, you relax. You're focused on the story, the information, the entertainment, and your brain just absorbs the language more naturally. Less like studying, more like enjoying your hobbies.
And you pick up natural slang and cultural references too, right?
Yeah.
Like watching sitcoms, Friends, or The Office were mentioned.
Exactly. Those shows are gold mines for everyday conversational English, idioms, humor, stuff you often won't find in textbooks.
Okay, so create an enjoyable immersion environment. Now, what about technology? Tip 7. Use technology wisely. There are tons of apps out there. How do we choose?
Well, the sources really zeroed in on one particularly powerful technological concept for learning, especially vocabulary, and that's using spaced repetition systems, or SRS.
SRS, right. Can you break that down? Why is it so much better than just, say, reviewing flashcards?
Okay, so traditional flashcards often mean you review everything every time, even words you already know well. It's not very efficient. SRS software is smarter. It uses an algorithm based on the forgetting curve. Basically, it tracks how well you know each word or phrase. Then it schedules reviews for you precisely when you're most likely to be about to forget something.
So it prompts you just before it slips your mind.
Exactly. By reviewing only what you need to review, right when you need it, you spend your time much more effectively. It helps move vocabulary from your shaky short-term memory into your solid long-term memory much faster. It's targeted, efficient review.
That makes a lot of sense. Very cool. So we've got chunks: active learning, daily practice, embracing mistakes, setting goals, patience, immersion, smart tech. What does it all build towards?
Communication. Which brings us perfectly to the final and arguably most crucial strategy. Tip 8, make it social.
Because language isn't just something you know, it's something you do with other people.
Precisely. If your English only exists in your head or in a notebook, have you really learned it? Probably not fully. Finding language exchange partners online or in person, joining online communities related to your interests, but in English, maybe finding local meetups.
All right.
The value is immense.
What does actual conversation teach you that studying alone can't?
Oh, so much. Real-time conversation teaches you things like appropriate tone of voice, cultural nuances, understanding humor, how to interrupt politely, reading body language, the timing of responses, all the things that make communication actually work. It shifts English from being this academic subject you study to being a real tool you use to connect with other human beings.
And when you actually make friends using English.
That's the ultimate motivator, isn't it? It
Yeah.
gives the whole learning process real meaning and purpose. It makes all the other tips, all the effort feel completely worthwhile. It locks everything else into place.
Okay, that's a fantastic overview of 9 really smart strategies. Let's just quickly recap them to make sure everyone's got them clear.
Sure. First, learn vocabulary in chunks, not isolated words. And make sure you're active in your learning. Use shadowing, summarize things.
Then commit to daily practice, even if it's short. And critically, don't fear mistakes, see them as free lessons.
Set realistic, trackable goals and cultivate patience. Remember, it's a long game, and track those small wins.
Surround yourself with English you actually enjoy, make immersion fun. And use technology wisely, especially space repetition systems for vocabulary.
And finally, the capstone. Make it social. Find ways to actually use English to communicate with real people.
Yeah, that feels like the core message, doesn't it?
I think so. If there's one final thought to synthesize all this, it's that progress comes from consistent application, not from waiting until you feel perfect. Perfection is never coming. Every day you actively practice, even imperfectly, you are genuinely moving closer to fluency.
So we'll leave you with a challenge this week, building on that last point. A provocative thought to act on. Try to put tip 8 into practice just once. Find one person maybe online, a language exchange app, maybe someone you know, and just initiate a short, simple, unscripted conversation in English. Don't worry about mistakes. Just focus on making that connection. And then, importantly, celebrate that victory, however small it feels. Go make that connection.